Is your daddy a great husband? If a man is unavailable, he's unavailable for a reason. And if you can't pass my questionnaire, baby, you gotta exit. I'm not saying that as soon as things go bad, you should leave a situation. Well, I am kind of saying that. We don't really know what we're doing. Hi babes, welcome in or welcome back to my channel. My name is Shamika if you are new here, and if you're joining us for the first time, girl, hit that subscribe button, join the squad, join the family. We love to have you over here. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about some dating tips that I wish I knew sooner. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Your girl, she done did some things and she done been through some things. So these are some of the tips that I wish somebody would have told me when I was a young black girl growing up and trying to navigate dating. And I just want to make a little caveat here and say that I feel like as black women, we are not taught how to date. And it is so unfortunate because what we're told is not to date. And so when it is time for us to become of age and get our hands started dating and exploring, we don't really know what we're doing. Some of us, we're just kind of going with the flow and going with the motions and not really doing our due diligence and dating in a way that's going to serve us in the future. And so these are just some of the things that I wish somebody would have told me, and some of the tips that I think can help so many young ladies out there. So if you want to hear what I have to share, then just keep on watching. So my first little piece of advice is to don't ignore repeated behaviors. I feel like when a person shows you who they are, and this could be applied to friendships, business relationships, whatever the case may be, when a person shows you who they are, believe them. If a man is constantly cheating on you and being caught lying to you and disrespecting you, that is who that man is. And you can either choose to accept it because that's what you accept about that person and that's the treatment that you want to allow, or you can remove yourself from a situation. I feel like constantly going back and forth with a person over the same things is a waste of your time, a waste of your beautiful youth. Because 9 times out of 10, if you and a person cannot agree on simple things, then there's no way you're going to be able to agree on the big things, and that relationship is probably not going to go the distance anyway. That kind of ties into my next point, which is that accept that you cannot change anyone. I know I said these are dating tips, but the reality is a lot of these tips can apply to just real life. But accept that you cannot change anyone, especially that man. Girl, listen, if he don't got it already and he not acting like he want to change it or come with it, he's not gonna change. The reality is you can't change nobody but yourself. You can't make nobody change. You can influence them to change, but they have to want to change. They have to want to be better and do better. And so I feel like you should not get hung up on trying to change a man or mold a man, or even if you're into women, whatever the case may be, don't get caught up in trying to change somebody. See them for who they are, accept them for who they are, and decide if you can or you cannot deal with them. Now, I'm not saying that people can't change, because people can change, but I feel like they have to want to change. And it's not enough to just tell you that they want to change. They have to show you consistently and over time. They have to want to change. And the reality is some men won't see your worth enough to want to change for you. And then the reality also is that some men, the way they come, the way they present themselves, that's as good as it's gonna get. And he ain't willing to do no more, and it's a woman out there who gonna love him and accept him just the way he is. But once you know that that woman ain't you, pack up your things and go, sister. Pack up your things and go. The next thing that I wish I knew much sooner is that relationships are an experience. You are supposed to enjoy it, learn from it, and if it goes the distance, great. But if it doesn't, you take what you learned in that situation and in that relationship and you apply it to your next one. I feel like I stay in a lot of situationships and a lot of relationships much longer than I should have, because I wasn't just there for the experience. I was there to be in love, to get married, to have kids, to have my happily ever after. Whole time struggling in the relationships. And I'm not talking about struggling financially, struggling emotionally, mentally, physically, being stressed out, tired, just going through all the things and staying much longer than I should have, because I feel like I've invested too much to leave. I've invested a year of my life. I'm not ready to leave, or I think he could get better, or I think, girl, listen, it was good while it was good. It's been bad. It's time to dip out. I'm not saying that soon as things go bad, you should leave a situation. Well, I am kind of saying that. But you have to have the proper discernment to know what you can and what you're willing to work through. Some things that I put up with back in my early 20s, I would never put up with now. Even some things that I kind of put up with in my later 20s too, if I'm being honest, I would never put up with now. But it takes me having those lessons and applying them, and also learning from those around me. Like, I think I've said this in my videos before. My dad always told me, a fool learns from his mistakes, a wise man learns from others. Looking at those around me and kind of learning and having my discernment based on what my good girlfriends are going through, and just learning as I go. So definitely learn from each encounter, learn from each relationship, and apply those skills to your next relationship. Something that my last relationship taught me was that I needed to accept the man for who he was and not try to change him. And so when I got with my current partner, that was something that I was really serious about applying. You know, the man that he was in the beginning was great and amazing, and I realized his shortcomings, but I told myself that, okay, I can accept him for who he is in this moment. There's nothing that I would change about him. There are certain things that I don't like, but the person that he is and how he's showing up right now, I'm good with that. The next tip that I want to share with you all is to investigate/do your research. You're not meeting someone through a mutual friend or possibly going to the same school as them or living in the same neighborhood as them. If you're meeting a complete stranger, and I mean, you don't know nobody he know, he don't know nobody you know, do your research, sister. And even if y'all do know some of the same people, if you can't call them people up on the phone and get the tea on that man, do your research, sister, because a man will tell you anything. Literally. I done had a man tell me his name was something else, his age was something else, he didn't have no kids. Girl, he was married with a pregnant wife with a whole different name. Like, I done had men tell me all type of stuff. Well, not a lot. I don't want to, not too much. It ain't happened too many times. It happened one time, and you know what I'm saying, we moved. But I done had a man lie to me about his whole entire identity. Baby, do your research, okay? Because these men will come up and create a whole entirely new identity, okay? And you won't know nothing about it because you're taking what he's saying at face value. Do your research. I know men don't like to be questioned, some men. And some men feel like, oh, like, who is you? You the police? Yeah. And if you can't pass my questionnaire, baby, you gotta exit, because I have questions that I need answers to. And then once you give me these answers, I'm gonna run them through my database, because I gotta make sure that what's in my database match up with what you said. So do your research, ask questions, be inquisitive, be curious, let him talk a little bit more than you in the beginning, and make it hard to get to know you. You know, I think as women, we love to talk so much, and we love to tell men about ourselves, and we give them the answers, and then they're able to pass these tests with flying colors because you gave them the answers. No, get into his tea, get into his business. Let him talk a little bit more than you. Let him tell you about himself a little bit more than you're willing to share about yourself, so that he don't know how to crack your code. He don't know what to say and what to do to love bomb you and swindle you. And then based on the things that he's saying and sharing with you, give it time to see if it's true. Give it time to see if it adds up and see if it plays out. So all in all, do your research, ladies. Don't let a man tell you anything. Investigate for yourself. Another tip that I have, and not everybody may agree with this, and it's kind of like, it's subjective, but for the most part, I feel like you should let the past be the past. And what I mean by that is no spinning the block. I feel like if you and somebody broke up, and depending on what the reason was, I don't think you should spin the block. That's just me. And I think that a person was meant for you and it was meant to work out. I don't think in a lot of instances that the relationship would end and then you two will magically find yourself back to each other. I feel like more often than not, that does not work. Now, you have your one-offs, you know, we got our Nelly and Ashanti and all that type of stuff. I'm not saying it's never going to happen, but I do feel like more often than not, it's not going to happen. It's not going to work out. You two broke up for a reason. You two lost contact for a reason, and maybe you should just let that be. Not saying that it can never happen, but I feel like I've spent the block once or twice, and each time that I spent the block, I was reminded why it didn't last anyway. Like, people don't really change. A tiger don't really change in stripes for real, for real. And if they do change, wouldn't they make it work with who they moved on to? Like, a man always got somebody, so why ain't, if you changed and the issues that we had ain't the same issues that you have, why ain't you making it work with who you with now? Like, make it make sense, you know? Another dating tip that I wish I knew sooner was to not get confused by the idea that although I had a good dad and he was a good dad to me, the qualities and traits in him were traits that I should be looking for in a husband, because the difference is very large. Although my dad was a good father and I love him and adore him, God rest his soul, he was not a good boyfriend. And so I think a lot of times what I struggled with was, and this doesn't apply if you had a great dad who was a great boyfriend or husband or whatever, but a lot of times what I struggled with was loving my dad so deeply and admiring him so intensely that when I went to date, I would date men who had a lot of the same qualities as him. But those men had those qualities, those good and those bad qualities in him. You know, they were good fathers and good providers and very wise and very smart, but they had multiple women. They couldn't be faithful. They were liars and things like that. And so what I've had to learn along my journey was that although I had a great dad, he was great to me as his daughter. But as a man that I would date or entertain, no. So kind of learning and being able to identify, although you love your daddy and he might be a great daddy to you, is your daddy a great husband? Would you want to date your daddy? Like, if he was your man, like, would you want the treatment that he gives other women? So kind of trying to recognize that and identify what I want in a man on my own, you know, and what I want in a father to my child. If my dad could be the father to my children, great. You know, if I could find a man with those similar type of qualities, amazing. But being my man, it wouldn't work, baby. So recognizing that and accepting that, and then trying to find the qualities that I want in my husband and the man that I'm going to be with and spend the rest of my life with. And the last and final tip that I have is something that I definitely struggle with, which is entertaining men who are unavailable. And when I say unavailable, I do not mean in a relationship. I mean men who have kids, and so they focus is on their children and they're giving me a very small amount of attention or effort. Men who have a situationship, and although they haven't said it, you know that they entertain the other girls and you're not number one on the list. You're not the priority. Men who are in a sticky situation with maybe their job or their finances or their home life or their education, whatever it is, they not able to prioritize me in the way that I'm able to prioritize them. Leave those men alone. If a man is unavailable, he's unavailable for a reason. And by you continuing to try to insert yourself and be a part of his orbit, all you're doing is setting yourself up for failure. I feel like in every single time where I've tried to entertain a man who was unavailable, all I did was hurt myself in the end, because only a man who is available, just like I'm available, that's the only time a relationship is kind of really set up to succeed. Anytime I've messed with somebody who was unavailable in whatever capacity it was, maybe you just broke up with your baby mama, maybe you got all type of stuff, it just don't work out, y'all. It just don't work out. It just don't work out. It just don't work out. Do not date men who are unavailable. It's never going to end in your favor. If you came into the situation not being a priority, not being somebody who that man wanted to take seriously, it's probably going to end for that very same reason. So don't even waste your time, sister. Those are some of the dating tips that I wish somebody would have shared with me or talked to me about as I was coming of age and coming into my own womanhood. I think that we need to do better as a Black community in general when it comes to prepping our daughters and our nieces and cousins and the like, when it comes to talking to them and prepping them for dating and entering into the dating world, being more in their business. You know, when I think about when I have children and I have a daughter, yes, she's going to know that she can't date until a certain age, but once she does enter that dating realm, I want to know, who is he? Where do he live? Who are his parents? What do they do for work? What does he want out of life? What type of classes are he taking in school? Is he the class clown? Is he the bad boy? Is he the jock? Like, I want to be all in their business. I want to be able to talk to them and work through, why are you choosing this guy? Why are you attracted attracted to him? What do you like about him? I just want to have that comfortability in that relationship with my daughters to where we can talk about dating. I can kind of pick their brains and see how they're thinking and what choices they're making in boys and why are they making those choices, and help them kind of think about it and work through it, because I didn't have anybody to do that with me. I did a lot of trial and error, or I worked through it with my good girlfriends. So I really didn't have a lot of moments where the women in my life, the matriarchs, were talking to me through my decisions about why you bringing that boy home, who are his parents, where he stay at, what he do for work, what he want out of life, why is he worthy of being your boyfriend, you know? So those are the type of conversations that I want to have with my daughter. And if I did have a daughter, these are just some of the things that we would talk about. So I hope that you all found this video helpful. I love you all, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.